Hey everyone, and welcome to the Just Get Hired podcast. I want to welcome you, job hunters and HR heroes, to another awesome episode of the Just Get Hired podcast, where we're diving deep into the ever-evolving world of employment and all things communication. And today I've got a guest who's all about turning up the hiring process and making it a seamless symphony of communication. Well, imagine this. You're sending out the perfect job match alerts with a simple click, staying in touch with candidates through text messages that feel like friendly updates and not spam. What about filling job roles faster than you can say interview? Well, I'm talking to the master of automation himself, Chris Greene. But before I begin, maybe you're new to the show or you've been around for a while. My name is Jessica Fiesta George, and I'm your host of the Just Get Hired podcast. This podcast is for career professionals at any stage of your career, and we dive into all things career related, from tips and strategies to help you land your dream job or get that promotion, to personal and professional development. And I also teach business leaders on how to hire better and hire smarter. I also bring in top disruptors that are in the industry to help guide us through these conversations. Well, this is episode 57 of the Just Get Hired podcast regular series, and I have Chris Greene with us, who is an HR communication wizard with 17 years of experience. And he's not your ordinary tech-savvy pro. He's kicked off his journey back in the day selling hardware. Remember that? And now he's at the forefront of a company called DialMyCalls. Well, DialMyCalls is about empowering organizations to send out calls, texts, and emails with a virtual wave of the HR wand. Well, from catching the wave of web-based solutions to helping thousands of businesses streamline their employee communication, Chris brings a treasure trove of tips, tricks, and tech-driven strategies. Say that a couple times in a row. Tips, tricks, and tech-driven strategies that will leave you thinking, why haven't we been doing this all along? Well, if you're an HR hotshot, or maybe you're just an HR enthusiast, get ready to geek out with me about automation, HR style, and let's welcome Chris Greene to the mic. So, Chris, welcome to the Just Get Hired podcast.
Hi, Jess. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that introduction and looking forward to talking with you.
Well, the excitement's mutual, Chris. I'm ready to unlock the secrets of hiring digital makeover with you. So are you ready to roll?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Well, your journey from hardware notifications to web-based solutions to me is intriguing. So can you share maybe like a standout moment where this shift really revolutionized communication for your organization? Tell me more about DialMyCalls.
Sure. So DialMyCalls is an online platform that a lot of people are familiar with, some type of a solution out there. We're one of the industry leaders providing a way to easily communicate with thousands at a time, or even if you have a small group. Sometimes people think, well, I don't have that many contacts. This is a great way for you to be able to reach out to them quickly and efficiently. We have a lot of all kinds of customers with small groups, small companies that just need to keep up with their staff, or maybe a small group of customers. But as far as our service goes, we're nothing like the original hardware-based solution back in the day. I used to work for a company called Phone Tree, and you would plug in a box into your computer, plug in your phone line, and make calls one at a time. So it was very inefficient, even though it was effective. It could take a long time to get your message out to everyone. The technology has greatly improved over the years. Everything is online based with DialMyCalls. We can send out thousands of messages instantly to everyone rather than taking a few hours. So it really improves the speed and reliability.
Okay. Now we all receive those automated messages. So can you break down how maybe HR departments or staffing agencies specifically can leverage automated calling, texts, and emails to make sure that their communication is more efficient and maybe a little bit more engaging?
Sure. So there's all kinds of ways that HR and staffing uses our service. Um, Big one that I always hear about is even when you need to send out the open enrollment notices, sometimes
Hmm.
people don't see it in their email, or they just don't open the email, and sometimes they let things slip. So just those friendly reminders that don't forget open enrollment is due by next Friday. So make sure to log in and make your selections. Anytime there's any type of positions available or open enrollment, an HR department needs to let their employees know about maybe open shifts or overtime that's available. It's a great way to make sure everyone gets the same information quickly and to get those time slots filled, those positions filled. And so, other things that are necessary for companies to let their employees know about is anytime they're closed due to holidays or maybe
Mm,
inclement weather. Sometimes things come up where it's something they have to get out quickly. Then you can do this from any computer, tablet, or smartphone, so it makes it easy for the HR manager to be able to just open up the account, put a message together, and send that out. Also, even 1 year reviews. Anytime you need to send out information about an event, just to remind people about things coming up or maybe to notify them about different things going on in the company. It's an effective means and useful for them to get that out quickly rather than trying to communicate to each one individually.
okay. Yeah, I see where that could be really helpful, especially getting the messages across very quickly. Do you guys integrate with any various HR systems?
That's a great question that I get often. We don't integrate directly with any HR related types of software or solutions, but we do integrate with third party applications, Zapier, which integrates with hundreds of different applications. And so a lot of our customers will utilize that. We also have a very robust API. So if the company wanted to utilize that with their development team, you can easily integrate through our API to send messages straight from your system.
Okay, that sounds great. So, staffing agencies and recruiting teams, speed to hire and time to fill are really important. So, how do you think automated messages could be like a secret weapon in quickly filling job roles without sacrificing quality?
Sure. So often you have a position available, or maybe a company that's looking to fill multiple positions, and a staffing company, they might have a group of people looking for a specific type of position or type of work. So it's very easy for them to go ahead and take that list of contacts, put a message together and say, we have this open position available. Contact us as soon as possible to let us know if you're interested. We can set something up in a time for interview. Or you can actually send out a text message and even personalize it to each person in the list. That way,
Mm,
it'll send out the message. Hi, Jess. We've talked in the past about a position that you might be interested in. Here's a link to go to see what's involved and to go ahead and fill out the application. So it's a really easy way for the staffing company to communicate quickly with everyone, making sure everyone gets the message immediately. And that way they're not having to take the time calling each contact in their list to let them know about the different positions available.
okay. Well, in HR communication, I'm sure you've seen it all. Is there a type of message that really hits the mark for or any tips that you have for crafting messages that will really resonate with the person who's receiving it?
Really, now that we have the ability to tailor each message to each individual, you can specify meeting times or appointment times, things of that nature. So you can do that not just with text messaging, but even phone calls if you wanted to. We have a text to speech engine that'll make the recording. And so you can tailor it to each individual in the list. That's going to really give an opportunity to make it more personalized, giving the recipients the feel that these people that I'm working with, they're really trying as much as possible to make sure I get the right job for what I'm looking for. So it's a great way to make sure it's a little more personalized throughout the entire experience.
Okay. Well, data security, that's on everyone's minds right now. How does Dial My Calls ensure that sensitive information, especially within HR, stays safe and then while they use that automated communication?
So that's a great question. Everyone is concerned about safety and security of their information, and we get that question quite often. So, uh, right off the bat, I want to assure people that our system is strictly controlled with strong privacy and security protocols. As far as our security itself, we have 256-bit military grade encryption. We have routine PCI compliance scans, two-factor authentication if they'd like to set that up to ensure people who are logging in to their account, only the right people get into their account, and
Hmm.
SOC 2 Type 2 compliant facilities. Everything is stored in systems where they're under 24/7 surveillance. They're backed up with diesel generators in case there's loss of power. And we really try to make sure that the customer is comfortable that nobody has access to their information.
Ooh, that's like way over my head.
it's
Sounds
it's
like a lot.
something it basically it is something that those that need to know that information,
Hmm.
that's the type of information that they're looking for.
Well, it sounds secure to me. So
Sure.
everything you listed sounded really secure. So that's great. So looking ahead, what's the next big thing in like automated communication, maybe especially for HR? And are there any tech trends that we should keep an eye out?
Sure. So for the most part, the switch has gone more to text messaging and even multimedia messaging, where they send pictures or attachments to text messaging, where they are giving them more information to observe when they get the text. Texting is one of the most recognized ways of communicating now, and most text messages get open within the first 3 minutes of receiving the text message. It's over 90%. So it's a very
Mhm.
effective means of getting that information out. In the past, you might call someone and let them know about something going on or a position that's open. With the text message, it's a quick and concise message that you can provide additional details, maybe a link to more information or to a place where they can apply, or MMS where they would attach a picture, providing maybe a one pager on the information about whatever position that's available. So we're seeing more and more people shifting from using phone calls to actually sending out text messages because it's a lot more direct to the end recipient and prompting them to make some sort of a motion going forward. So we're seeing that more and more with the HR and staffing industry.
Okay, I can see where this could also maybe help me with setting up interviews with candidates. Do you guys do some type of scheduling tool as well?
So we don't normally do any type of scheduling or anything like a calendar-based application. What
Mhm.
we do offer is the ability for, as mentioned earlier, where you can go ahead and send out a text message with details that applies to each individual in the list. For example, if you're sending out appointment times, so you can set up maybe interview times for throughout the afternoon and send a message to the first person. Your interview will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Next one would be 2:30 p.m. and so on. So you can personalize to each one in the list, setting up your schedule for those based on the times you set for those interviews. So a great way to get out that reminder about when those people need to come in or maybe get on a Zoom call or so on.
Okay. Well, does Dial My Calls integrate any form of or use of AI?
We currently don't. That is something that's still very new in the industry. It's an intriguing topic, and
Mhm.
I'm sure if there is a good application to incorporate AI into DAMI calls, that'll be something our developers will look into. We're always looking for new ways that are helpful to our customers. Currently, there's nothing that I'm aware of in development, but it is something that has been discussed as what are the next steps for AI and what would that mean for DialMyCalls. Calls. I would just
Okay.
say stay tuned to our website and just keep an eye on the new things that we keep coming out with.
All right. Well, lastly, could you provide some advice to professionals, especially in HR, who might be hesitant to adopt any type of automated communication tools due to that concern of using that human touch within HR?
Sure. So, first thing I always tell customers when they ask me how they should send messages or what should they send, I always turn it back on them and say, put yourself in your recipient's shoes.
Hmm.
How often would you want to receive messages and what types of messages? Obviously, if this is HR related or staffing related, there is some type of a connection. So the recipients, they'll already be either expecting messages from that person or would expect to receive messages from that person. So that's the first thing. What types of messages? Is it redundant? Are you sending too many messages or not enough? So that's the first thing I always recommend. A lot of times people in the industry, they're sort of stuck in their ways of how they communicate, even if it's not very effective, and they just tend to live with it because this is all that they know.
Hmm.
So one thing with my calls is that once someone tries it and they see how easy it is to use and how effective, they wonder why they didn't do this a long time ago. And I hear that all the time. It's a very easy to use service. It's an easy and effective means for you to be able to put together whether a message in your own voice to send out a call recording or a text message where you can easily communicate in ways that you wouldn't be able to through a normal cell phone. And if you needed to send a message to 1,000 people, you could not normally do that with texting. And I've talked with people that have sent text messages in groups of 10 and just sent it over and over and over until everyone's got the message. And it took them a long time to do that.
Right.
This is an easy and effective way for you to upload a contact list, type up a text message, send that message out, and be done in just a few minutes. It's really that easy. And of course, it's something where a lot of times people are slow to adapt to a new technology because they're scared of it. They're thinking
Hmm.
it's going to be too hard, learning curve is going to be too much. A lot of times they feel that it's going to take up too much of their time to implement. But I can assure you, our support team and everyone here at DialMyCalls, we're really helpful to get you to understand how the service works, how it can be useful for you, the ways you can get out information quickly. Um, Instead of having to make phone calls for a couple of hours, you can easily get that information together and get that done, like I said, in just a few minutes.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you guys are easy to work with. Sounds like an easy implementation. So, what would be the ideal company for you guys to work with?
That's a great question. I hadn't really ever thought about it. We work with pretty much any segment that you can think of. We work with churches and schools, property management, a lot of companies through their HR departments, or even departmental needs if they need to just keep in touch with their specific employees in their departments. Um, we work across the board because really what it comes down to is if you have a need to communicate to hundreds or thousands at a time,
Mm-hmm.
we give you the ability and the means necessary to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, Chris, what's next for you? What's next for Don My Calls?
Sure. So, like I said, we're always trying to look at things that customers are requesting and asking for improvement. We recently just launched a new version of our site. So, we're always trying to make it as simple to use and easy to use as possible. Anytime we get feedback from customers about something that they're interested in or that they think would help them, we're always looking at ways to possibly implement that if we feel enough customers might have a need for that. A good example of that during COVID, a lot of people kept calling us for getting some type of a conference call option. And so, we implemented a conference call option because we had enough feedback from customers that that was something that's that's of interest. And so, as far as Down My Calls goes, we're always trying to give the best communication solution for a great price. And so, we're always looking at what the next things are. Similar to what we said about the AI, anything that we feel
Hmm.
would be improvement and helpful to our customers, that is something that we're always looking to strive for. So I always mention to keep an eye on our site, look for the new things that we offer, and you can always call and see how we can help regarding any type of communication need that you have, and we can see if we have something that matches up.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure I have links in the show notes because it looks like we have a special link for people who are listening today. So it'd be dialmycalls.com/Jess. So awesome. Thank you for setting that one up. But
Sure.
anyone who wants to check it out, I'll make sure I share that in the show notes and on my website and on social media. So I appreciate you guys setting that up for me.
Certainly, yes. Anyone that fills out the information on that, that'll come direct to me, or you can always ask for me directly, Chris Greene, when you call in. So when you mentioned the Just Gets Hired podcast and that you were calling Chris Greene about that, you actually can get $100 free of credits. It's 1,800 credits, which would be enough to send out 1,800 calls or 1,800 text messages to your recipients. And so I'd be happy to provide that, anyone that's interested. It's a great way to get into the service and try it out for a bit and see how it worked for you, and see with no obligation how that would improve your communication skills. We'd love to get you to try our service. I think most people, once they have tried DialMyCalls, they really get an idea that they can use this in all ways they hadn't even thought of before.
Awesome. Well, who doesn't love a freebie, right?
Exactly. That's right.
Well, Chris, a big shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining me today and giving us a glimpse into the world of communication magic. So if you're in the HR trenches, or maybe you're hunting around searching for a specific program that can help automate your journey to make things a lot smoother, it sounds like DialMyCalls is the place to take a look at. So your insights have been an absolute game changer, and I'm pretty sure that our listeners are ready to already brainstorm ways that they can automate their process. So Chris, thanks for being a part of the Just Get Hired podcast.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you having me on, and hope you have a great day.
Well, I want to thank Chris again for being a part of the Just Get Hired podcast. HR automation seems like a no-brainer. I mean, who wouldn't want to automate the process and just let your process be on autopilot so you can concentrate on other aspects of the business? Well, you can use DialMyCalls or other HR automation to help you with employee onboarding and orientation. You can send automated welcome messages to your new hires. Maybe share essential information about the company, policies, and benefits. Think about using it for job postings and recruitment, sending automated job alerts to your entire talent pool when new positions come up, or maybe notifying candidates about interview schedules and updates. You can use it for interview reminders. If you schedule automated reminders, that can help ensure candidates remember when it's time to interview and where to interview. So that will help reduce ghosting and no-shows and improve efficiency for your hiring process. I think about using automation too for employee training and development. You can send training materials or reminders for workshops or webinars, and automate follow-up messages to assess effectiveness of any training programs that you have. Performance review time is also a great way to use automation. You can schedule automated notifications for employees to complete self-assessments or peer reviews, and send reminders to the supervisors to complete their portion of the performance evaluation on time. Now, benefits enrollment towards the end of the year. I know a lot of companies are going through this, but a great way to use automation is for benefits enrollment or open enrollment. You can take those messages to guide employees through the benefits enrollment process, give them deadlines and important information regarding their healthcare or retirement plans or other benefits. Also, if you're changing policies all the time, or if there's new policy updates, you can keep your employees informed about policy changes and updates, and ensuring that all employees are aware of important policy revisions. And then I think of this living in Florida, but emergency alerts. Anytime there is an emergency, or maybe like a weather event, like a hurricane or critical situations, you can use automation for an instant mass notification for all of your employees, which can also provide safety instructions or evacuation details when necessary. And then employee surveys and feedback. Automate your survey process and collect feedback from your employees about different aspects of the workplace and their satisfaction. You can use it for announcements and celebrations by sharing company news and milestones and birthdays and anniversaries. I mean, think about all of this and how it's going to foster a sense of belonging and appreciation among your workforce. I mean, everyone is on their phones. You can also use this for your offboarding or your exit interviews. You can schedule an automated exit interview to gather feedback from people who are leaving your organization, and use automation for your offboarding process by sending reminders for anything that you might get back from the employee, like company assets or completing paperwork or just doing the exit interview itself. Well, those are just some tips to help you. And don't forget, if you want to check out DialMyCalls, we have a special offer for our listeners. Go to www.dialmycalls/Jess and get $100 worth of texts and emails. I think that's pretty awesome. Well, if you like my content, also don't forget to head over to my website, jessgethired.com. I would also appreciate it if you head over to Instagram, Just Get Hired. And if you like my content, also follow me, connect with me, and network with me on LinkedIn. That's my number one platform. You can find me by searching my full name, Jessica Fiesta George. I also will continue to have my pop-up episodes for the rest of the year. So if you don't want to miss one of my video episodes, head over to YouTube or on Spotify, click subscribe, and make sure you don't miss a thing. Add Just Get Hired to your playlist so you don't miss other audio episodes, and subscribe to my email list. Make sure you head over to justgethired.com. Well, my name is Jessica Fiesta George, your host of the Just Get Hired podcast. What do y'all want to talk about next? I'll catch you on my next episode.